Welcome to the Anything Goes show. I am Kombat AllStar, and today we do not have Random Girl with us, but it's okay. We're gonna still have fun and still talk about some cool stuff. So, right now we're gonna talk about NXT Takeover. It happened yesterday, and there was a lot of really good matches. You know, it wasn't as good as the previous NXT Takeover, where they were actually in. I'm not sure where they were. Were they weren't in London? They were pretty much in the States, but it was awesome. I mean, the entrance with Sasha Banks and the match that her and Bayley had from Apollo Creed's debut, and just everything about that takeover was awesome. And I feel like this is the first takeover that actually wasn't as good as the previous one, but it's still okay because those matches were still awesome. I mean, they were still epic. And it's like, NXT's worst match is still better than Raw's best match. I mean, I guess excluding the recent Raw, I heard it was awesome. I didn't watch it. I do know Roman Reigns is now champion, but still, it was a great show. They had a lot of awesome matches. I'll kind of run down my favorite matches. There were some that I'm just not going to mention. I know the last match, I think it was a Fatal 4-Way Tag match with the Hype Bros, and I can't remember everybody who was in that match. It was pretty stacked, though. I'm pretty sure I'll put that in the description so you guys can go take a look and check it out. But yeah, I mean, we'll run down the card a little bit and talk about, I guess my favorite match and what I liked and disliked about them, and kind of critique the show. So here we go. I mean, let's see. The first match I would have to actually talk about was the Nia Jax versus Bayley match. Now, I didn't really expect much out of this match. I thought it was going to be a really good match, but I mean, because all NXT matches are, and these guys always work hard to make sure the matches are really good, especially the women. I feel like the women on the show always have a lot to prove, or they feel like they have a lot to prove, and they go out there and they just go at it swinging. So it was cool to see Bayley actually go out there as the underdog again. It's always interesting, I think, to have underdog champions because you always hope that they win. There's a lot more wishing and faith and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool to see that, to see the people kind of behind her, and you still have an underdog champion, especially with the women. Because I don't know, I feel like women in general, they don't really, for Raw and SmackDown anyway, there's not really any kind of epic buildup. You don't really know who's the underdog and who's not. It's just kind of one girl's teasing another girl worse than the other one is. So kind of a David versus Goliath here. Bayley really put out all the stops. She worked really hard to make this match pretty good. She went out there and she, put a sleeper on her a couple times, ended up winning the match that way. Just repeated moves trying to wear down Nia Jax. She was such a bigger opponent, using her speed against her. And she did great. She performed well. And Nia Jax too. I mean, she went in there and I mean, she fought like a big girl. You can tell that she's not as polished as somebody as a Karma, aka Awesome Kong, but she still went out there. She did a great job. It's developmental, so I know she's going to get better. But she worked really hard. She did a good job, and I mean, the match was solid. It was a solid, good match. It was totally believable that Bayley was in trouble, and they told a great story in that ring. So definitely a great match. Another one was Enzo Amore versus Dash and Dawson for the tag titles, and that was a pretty good match too. I love Dash and Dawson. I love the way they cut off the ring. I love the way they fight old school. They're a lot like Arn Anderson and Ole Anderson when they get in that ring, and they just tear it up. Those guys are classic NWA, WCW tag champs from back in the days. I feel like they put them in a time machine and sent them off to the future to us so we can enjoy great matches by those guys. So they did an awesome job in that match. They worked really hard. You had Big Cass and Enzo Amore that always brings out the best in their opponents and always do a great job in the ring. So from them cutting the promo coming out and talking trash, and they made you believe that they were going to come out of there as the NXT champions. And I wanted them to, as much as I like Dash and Dawson, I really wanted those guys to come out there and have that strap and be the champs, and it would just be awesome, but that didn't happen. Dash and Dawson found a way to hold on to the titles, and they did a great job. I mean, it was one of those things where, usually when you root for your favorite and you want your favorite to win, and then for some reason they just don't get it done, you're kind of upset about it. But in this case, I was a little upset about it, but I wasn't upset about it. You know what I mean? It was still a great match, and whoever came out on top in that, and it was just as good. It didn't take away from the match. I didn't feel like I was robbed or anything. With that said, Dash and Dawson went ahead and took it. They won the match, and they did a great job. So that was also a really, really good match. And then my favorite match would have to be, you had, of course, Apollo Creed versus the Lone Wolf. They went ahead and had it. And, that match, it was, like I said, it was okay. It wasn't anything, awesome. But, it still was a pretty good NXT match. And that one saw Baron Corbin actually go out there and win the match. So, kudos to him. I guess they're pushing him a little more than I'd like. I thought, Creed was going to win that one. Cruz was going to win that one. Sorry, Apollo Creed. So I thought he was going to win that one, but he didn't. Still okay. It wasn't for any title or anything, so it wasn't really that important. It was just building more momentum for Baron Corbin, which is okay. And then the match that I just had in mind, I can't remember what the match I was going to talk about next, but there was the Asuka versus Emma match. And let me say, Emma, she's always been a great talent. She's always been really, really good. And it's awesome that she was able to showcase her talents with Asuka. And we know Asuka has a huge background in the independent scene, and she's just totally big in Japan. And when you step in the ring with her, your game just levels up so much. So I was really happy to actually see her perform on the highest level that she could with Emma. Typically you get those diva matches, again talking SmackDown and Raw, where you have let's say Charlotte has to tone it down for Nikki Bella, so you get a watered down version of the match. So it was cool to actually see, again, I shouldn't be surprised because it's NXT, but it was cool to see the women's match go, for as long as it did, and to have, the opponent actually step up to make the match good. So I was really happy about that. There's nothing I could say bad about that match. Even after the match was over and Nia Jax was about to come out to fight Bayley, they had a little backstage stare down, I guess, before Nia Jax's match, which, again, was an awesome match. I really liked it. So, yeah, kudos to those girls for getting down there and doing what they got to do. And I really do hope that they build some sort of feud between Asuka and Nia Jax, because I think it would just be awesome. Those two going at it, it just smells like money to me. So I know Triple H knows what he's doing, matching those girls up. The other match, my favorite match, the match I was trying to having a hard time remembering that I wanted to tell you guys, was the Finn Bálor versus Samoa Joe match, which was excellent. Again, I am not a big Finn Bálor fan. I know Random Girl is. I was really hoping that Samoa Joe would walk away with the title, but for some reason he just didn't. But it was still a great match. Him diving through the ropes and him executing the muscle buster and everything, and those guys just told a great story in the match. And me personally, I think Finn Bálor, he's kind of boring to me, especially when he has an entrance that's so epic with the face paint and, coming out dressed up as the demon and everything. And it's just such an awesome entrance. And I feel like that is not the character he portrays in the ring. So maybe they can work with him a little more and have some Undertaker-esque moves for the demon. Maybe he has a moveset that's just for the demon when he comes out with that entrance. So I don't know, just throwing some ideas out there. But anyway, it was a great match. Samoa Joe was classic. Ring of Honor Samoa Joe, just unleashing all types of everything on his opponent. Very, very early TNA Samoa Joe as well. So it was good to see that Samoa Joe in here, because for a while he looked a little lost, but he's finally getting his footing. He finally has his stride, and he knows how to work the crowd now. So despite me not liking Finn Bálor and that match not being as strong as I think it should have been, it was still good. It was definitely still good. So that, like I said, and that's basically the rundown of all the matches. That was basically everything except for that last tag match at the end, which I don't even think was a part of the pay-per-view. I think that just kind of came on after NXT was over. So, and actually checking now online, looks like that's what happened. That match was actually not a part of the pay-per-view. But still, it was epic. I really liked NXT Takeover. It's much, much better than the pay-per-views. that Raw and SmackDown put on. So kudos to Triple H for everything he's doing in NXT, and I will continue to watch because it is epic. I love it, and I mean it's on the network where everything else I love is on there. The original WCW, when the Crockett's own it, Ted Turner's WCW, they put some world-class championship wrestling on there, so they know what they're doing. I mean, even Breaking Ground, the new stuff that they're putting on there, Table for Three, it's just an amazing, amazing deal. And I'm not plugging it, because nobody's endorsing me or anything. I'm just saying it's awesome. So, I mean, glad that it's on the network. It's a breath of fresh air, and yeah, I mean, excellent pay-per-view. So what did you guys think about it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know what you think about NXT Takeover London, because I want to know. And until next time, happy Star Wars Eve.